In this episode of Carlie's Couch, we talk about displaced emotions and projection. Is it affecting your relationships?
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly.
Wow,
Ooh.
you didn't go the usual route.
You know what I noticed is the moment you point something out, I stop.
Huh?
Like the moment you're like, you always do that, I stop. And I'm like,
there's
I
one
don't
more thing that you always do, and every time you do it, I'd be like,
ooh,
I'm like, nah, I'm gonna leave it.
What is
nope, because you do it all. You say it's something you say all the time, and I feel like it's grammatically incorrect. I'm not sure, but I'm not gonna tell you. I don't want to tell you.
Now.
She said now.
No, also if I'm out here being grammatically incorrect, don't let.
But
don't
it might not be.
Crazy.
But it's just something I just noticed. Like she always says it. One time you said it, and then as you kept saying, I'm like, oh, that's just how she speaks. So you always say, you don't say when I was little. You always say whenever I was little, or you say whenever.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know.
Say,
I actually don't know what's grammatically correct on that.
Well, because one time you said it, I was like, what? Because usually it's like whenever is like whenever I'm about to do a thing, or whenever this happens. But you'll say it where it's where it's like a definite thing that's done or happened or whatever. So like you'll say whenever I was living in this place. Or you say
see, she had
whenever I cook works. But but it's not wild. It's just funny because every time you say it, I'll be like, she said every time.
See, look, that sounds something like a girl. I ain't gonna hold y'all.
But that's just so random. But because I'm sitting beside you all the time, hearing you talk, that's all. That's what it is.
It is funny. We really should do that episode where we talk about our mannerisms. We really should do a switch show.
Yeah, because please know, I'd be pissed off at myself too.
I do. That's why I asked you. That's why I got kind of serious. Like, tell me, because it's like, no, I like to like be correct.
I think it's funny because we do things and you don't really think about it like that.
But to your point, and also like I feel like the way we explore, whenever we're exploring things,
that makes sense.
We
talk now you gotta think about it.
We talk so much around each other and are always, it's never like, because a lot of times we're learning and growing on the podcast. All of our little mannerisms also get stuck like when we're thinking, when we're trying to explain through things. And so we also learn those things about each other. And y'all probably
how
hear
we
them too.
Stumble through.
Yeah, how we process and stuff. Whereas like if you're having normal conversations, that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I be sounding like Kanye because it's like, I don't know, from one sentence, didn't finish it to the next sentence, and I just be like, please shut up. And then I'll be like, Carlie just sitting here like, ready to say her part, and I'm like, just be like, log off. You just hit me with that's enough. In the sentence, because it's turning into some mess.
Now y'all gonna laugh whenever y'all see that happen. But
yeah,
we'll get to our questions from the couch this week. Y'all gave us some interesting answers on this. What are friends good for?
Well, the first person said, still trying to figure that out.
And then the other person said, absolutely nothing.
That's what I kept hearing too. When every time when I was like, what really I was going, what is it good for? That's really what I was doing. I was Jackie Chan.
Absolutely nothing.
Wall.
Say it again.
Who? Yeah. Anyway, conversation and hanging out for sure.
Real ones push you out of your comfort zone. And accountability. I got a few accountabilities.
So that's together. Like they keep you accountable, keep you where you need to be. Love and encouragement, sure. Companionship, support, yes.
Inspiration, to help sharpen you and vice versa.
Laughter, that's beautiful. Everything you need. Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Eating snacks together.
That is true though. Everything you need one is true. Eating snacks together is real too. Talking you in or out of things. And
then sharing what you wouldn't share with strangers or untrustworthy people. What do you think friends are good for? What are friends good for you?
My first thoughts for this question was that friends are good as support. Like that's the main thing I was thinking about, like which somebody I think kind of said like everything you need. So like anything you need, I probably already said this before one time, but if you have nothing but you have a bunch of relationships and you're fine. I was talking to one of my clients the other day. I was like, yeah, I have a feeling you would let me like crash at your house before let me be homeless. She was like, yeah, of course. So I'm like, oh, when you think about all the people in your life, like there's no reason for you, not reason for you to, but you have places to go, someone to call. And it doesn't have to be like monetary and all of that, but like even if you need to pick me up, laugh, whatever. So I think that's really what friends are good for.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So I agree with that. And also, my mind first was like, oh, like just life companions to grow through things with, to go on adventures with. Like, so I guess that technically is also everything. Yeah, to experience things. Because I feel so honored that all my friends choose to do life with me, and I love the wording on choose, because they could choose to be anywhere in anything, but they're here with me.
I like yours a lot too, because I was trying to think of like what's something where it doesn't feel like it's just serving you. So that's a good one too. Like you don't have to, but to experience life with other people is what makes it fun. So
and beautiful.
Yeah, and with friends as opposed to like family, it's like you're choosing these people and you know you're compatible or you're on the same page of life and blah blah blah, right? As opposed to sometimes the people that we don't choose, you don't always have the most compatibility with or get along with all the time and stuff and all of that. So that's really important to have friends. I'm sorry. I keep like trying to rearrange myself after I've gotten situated. My knee was about to be asleep.
Oh God. Okay. But yeah, so thank you for answering our questions from the couch as always. But this week we talking about displaced anger.
And my first thoughts, because I know my mama did it, but she worked third shift also, so I know she was pissed off all day. We were in the crib making noise and stuff. But I feel like most people can identify with as kids, like you in the house chilling and sitting there, and then like your mom come home from work and she like, why the dish is still in the sink? Did you pull that meat out? What's this? What's that? Your room not clean? And like it felt like parents would just be mad like all the time or like grumpy, and it's like, I'm not even doing anything. We're just sitting here chilling. Also, as an adult, I do get like when you see people just enjoying their life and there's so many things to get done and you feel like you have to do it all. But that's one of the things I think about.
Man, I actually thought about a life thing. So yes. And I was going to say, you also see it a lot of times whenever parents like explode at kids for being kids or doing kid stuff, or even teachers, right? Like let's take it out of parents. You see teachers explode on kids for being kids, and I work with kids and I be one to explode sometimes too, but you have to remember like that's not their fault that you have things going on in your life and they're just being kids. And so it's like a balance of like discipline in that, but not always like exploding on them. But I thought of a real life example. I was in business school with, and we were in a team, and I remember one of the girls was so mad at me one day. We were in there, and I was just like vibing along. She was like, "Not everybody can just be relaxing and doing yoga and stuff during school." And in my head, I was like, and then in my head, I was like,
hating.
bro. But then in my head, I was like, bitch, we all doing the same class. I mean, we in the same class. What do you're choosing this, and you're mad at me.
That's funny.
She really went off on me.
Well, you could lay down and do some yoga right now if you wanted to.
That's what I said too, because she acted like it was this thing that people couldn't do, and I just now thought about that. Like that's a glaring projection.
Yeah, actually, now that you say it like that, I have a few people who like say like, "What do you know about this?" or "You don't know nothing," blah blah blah, and it's just like, all right. Anyway, other examples I think of when it comes to like displaced emotion is like it's kind of a joke, but it's actually real. The joke part is just put it on men, because I'd actually do this too. But the joke on Twitter sometimes where they're like, "Oh, men are so mean when they down or when they broke or whatever," and like how they're mean to everybody and they always lashing out and stuff. And it's like, yeah, and that's literally my version of projection. But that's an example that I see in real life too. Like people, when you know they're kind of going through something or struggling, and it just seems like, why are you so mean to everybody? You're being mean to all the people around you. And it seems like it's just kind of something going on in your life.
And that's what projection is taking your emotions and the things that are going on and putting it on other people. Another example is whenever someone's cheating, but then they're always like telling their partner, "Oh, you must be out here cheating on me," but they the ones who are cheating. So not even just projecting emotions, but also actions and behaviors and thoughts. Yeah, but it's because really they're doing it. Yes.
And that's why... now maybe I say for the last few years specifically, I always think about it in the way of like the people who talk so much about like things they don't want and all this. It's like it really always feels like it's those people who are doing those things. So I'm usually kind of conscious about the way people talk about certain stuff, especially around relationships and all that, because I think it does give you a little insight into that. One thing you said that is what projection is, like taking how you feel and you're putting it on someone else. What is that? Can you go into that a little bit more? Like, does that mean projections like I feel bad, so I want you to feel bad? Or is it saying like with the yoga girl, maybe it's like, I don't
it was her not feeling like she could feel free. So she was projecting her anger about like not about a perceived,
you're angry about something.
Yeah, onto me. And like for whatever reason, and maybe she really was mad at me because maybe I wasn't doing the thing. And now I think about it, like maybe I didn't get my part of the assignment done, which is like fine.
Oh, that's crazy.
No, but listen, but I wasn't doing, but that was the thing. I wasn't doing yoga when that happened. I was trying to build my other business. So I had all this yoga content that I was posting that I wasn't even really doing. But it was like anger about whatever situation. So the anger could have been justified in the sense of work not being done, of her having a bad day. Maybe she got into a car accident. Maybe something happened. But the way she framed it and it came out on me, it was like,
it's like kind of like blaming them.
Yeah, it's like blaming them. It's like making them feel a type of way.
Responsible.
Yeah, making me responsible for how she's feeling. She's mad because I'm doing yoga, which is not the real reason why she was mad. You know what I'm saying? And so it's projecting how we feel onto others. It may not make sense. It may not have a direct correlation, but a lot of times it's just inside how we feel, like putting that blame, that feeling, that whatever on someone else and making them kind of the reason why.
And that's funny too, because a lot of times it's like you're making assumptions about how they're doing or how they feeling or whatever, and it really ain't none of that at all. So basically, projection and displaced emotions comes from how we feel. And I think I kind of wanted to do this episode. I think I kind of planned it because I definitely, I was getting accused a lot of being like, you're projecting. Or have you ever heard of displaced emotions? And I was like, no, like in my mind, it's like, I'm not displacing anything on you. I'm really upset because this floor is dirty. Or I'm really actually upset because of this or that or that or that or that. And yet, they were right, because then I started realizing, like we talked about this a few episodes ago too, and I was thinking about like, dang, I have a tendency to like, I'm coming across critical and people don't feel like they can do enough or do it right. And that really comes from me being, because I'm angry because whatever's not right. And then I did kind of realize, like, actually, I did have zero attitude. When my bank account is right and my money is right, I be having no attitude, which is crazy because lately I've been feeling real great. But I noticed there was like a few months where, and it also depends on relationships too, because sometimes, like we say, you could be cool with people and like people close to you is where you're holding like them to like a higher thing or whatever. But like I was just like immediately like upset, grouchy, and then I could feel that too. And I was like, I think that they are right. Like, I'm upset about certain stuff, and so I'm just sitting here being mad at you because, like, why don't you care about doing stuff? Why don't you care about doing more or doing this or that or whatever? And it messes up your relationships.
Absolutely. And, like, friendships and I mean, also it just is not a great place to grow from as a human. Like, we all do it. We all do projection, but it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, in that case, for sure. Yeah. Like a defense mechanism and
a coping
how
strategy.
I'm coping with my own, like, being upset because I'm not doing or where I wanted to be or whatever.
Exactly. And so we all fall victim to it, right? And we have to be hyper aware, but it's that defense mechanism, an unconscious mental strategy to help us process all of these emotions that are very real and things that are very much happening in our lives, like anxiety, stress, etc. But it's that unconscious attribution of your own thoughts or feelings or something to another person. It is why someone snaps whenever they didn't take out the trash. It's usually never about the trash. I would say the 0.01% of times that it's usually like other relationship things, other them not holding their weight in the relationship, or them not doing things or showing up for you or making you feel seen or making you feel appreciated. And so then you kind of snap on them about something seemingly small. And so like whenever you're projecting, you're reacting. Oh, I did. I told you. Say it.
That's why it's just funny. It's just funny. That's why I was like, you gonna say it.
I gotta figure that out. So when I guess this could be whenever.
Yeah, that could work
so
too.
Whenever you're projecting, you are reacting from your past thoughts and experiences, and you're not in the present. And so it's almost like you have on those goggles from like stress, anxiety, insecurity, bank account on E, whatever it is, and then you're like seeing the world from that, which always makes you like more of a catalyst for other explosive experiences.
I would be, so I'm going to just keep using this example of like stuff being on the floor. I realize for me, things that I expect, and I will get upset when my expectations are met on certain things, because in my brain, that's how a person shows me that they respect me or love me or care about me. So I notice too, if I look back and think about anytime I would be like upset about something, really like the question I was asking myself or asking through being mad is like, does this person not love me? Does this person not care about me? And then I realized like I'm attributing like certain actions to like how I want to feel, and because of that's what I do, and it really is like you gotta get out of the past and out of your brain and out of the hurt, because in that moment you could at least like stuff could be wrong and you can or not how you want it to be, and there's just so much better ways to deal with it. I think that's the point too. It's like we're not saying like anytime you feel any kind of way that really is just you, because people do mess up.
Facts.
And
big facts.
And you know, or maybe it's something you don't care for, but it might not be the end of the world or whatever. So it's not that stuff isn't wrong, but it's like, all right, am I exploding on you, or can I have the self-awareness to understand like this is how I understood this. To me, this felt like, oh, you don't care about me because you left stuff on the floor when I'm coming. You didn't care to clean up. As opposed to coming from a different place of love and like now I have to have an attitude all day just because of that. But like you could talk about it, which is something I started doing. Actually, I had a real good conversation. I was like, you know what? This is kind of what it makes me feel like when this is happening. And they's like, oh, I get that. So like, wow, you can actually have a conversation instead of going on and on and on, and it builds up and you're just arguing all the time. And the anger is not being explored. Like, what's the root of it? What is that past thing of hurt? Like, oh, this person is going to leave me, or they don't care about me. They don't like me anymore. So like, it sounds kind of like, all right, but like, it really is that deep of like the things that trigger you and bother you. Like, it really is coming from other things in the past, all that build up.
And as I say, mine personally, like I definitely have exploded on people or have misplaced anger. But also I notice a lot of like anytime I have like rejection or feelings of insecurity or other stuff in my life, like I feel like then when I'm looking at my partner that they're not accepting of me because I'm feeling rejected in other ways, or I want them to do extra stuff to make me feel loved because I'm struggling to love myself in that moment. And so I just noticed like me putting that, or even take it back to trauma, like abandonment. Like I think if I fight with my partner that they're just going to leave me and never talk to me again. It sounds crazy, but that's a lot of people's childhood traumas. And so I start to overreact and start to like try to hold on too tight and do stuff. And it always makes it worse. And so I think
instead of recognizing your need
and what's going on and being able to verbalize that, or even just to be like, I actually need some time to myself, so I'm not doing this to you. But like feeling insecure and feeling like people are looking at you crazy or judging you, it's like, baby, nobody cares. Everybody's going through their own stuff, and it can be debilitating in relationships. We talked about the problem of perfectionism and the cost of that in relationships, but projecting will end one of them hoes real quick.
And I feel like it's easy to notice when other people are projecting on you, because you like, just like with the yoga thing, you're like, that ain't my problem. That's a you problem. And so sometimes we see that easily, but I don't think we realize like how often we probably could project on others, especially, I think you can tell if you like go back and look at like social media and stuff like that, you'll see where it's like, actually that was coming from a little bit from a place of hurt or from this or that, right? Or you feel some kind of way. But I know with me, one of the ways I recognize it in myself when I'm projecting or I'm having a displaced like emotions, the biggest thing is being highly reactive. Like I'm super reactive, not in a like explode angry way. I don't think so. It's not like it's angry, but I do like to turn up and like get the energy out of me and like da-da-da-da. But then the other person might like shut down or whatever. I can be defensive, but that is something that I work pretty hard to like, and I think I've gotten a lot better there. Like when somebody's telling me about myself or about something relevant that I could take personally or whatever, to like just listen and be like, like look for how the person can be right instead of looking to disagree with them. We talked about that in one of our way long ago things. But when I'm being defensive or like reacting pretty quickly, basically the quicker I talk, the more I'm probably projecting.
For me, it's like feeling big emotions for something seemingly small. So for example, like seeing stuff on the floor, all of a sudden now I feel like you don't love me. And it's like, how do we get here, sis? But it comes from a very real place. So I'm not saying that your emotions aren't real. You just got to make sure to not put that on the other person. So being overly hurt, feeling overly sensitive over what somebody said, or even the way that they might have like got off a phone call. I called one of my friends the other day and she got off the phone real fast. And at first part of me was like, what did I do? And I was like, girl, she's probably having a tough day. And then she texted me, was like, yo, my bad, I was in the elevator. You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to say, it don't even be a tough day.
It really don't be that. But that, and then having.
I'll be exiting out of the Google Zoom so fucking fast.
Oh, man, out of here.
Because my arrow's already on it. And I'm like, everybody, you know, how it takes 20 minutes for people to be gone. And
I'd be out of here.
All right, bye, guys. All right, have a good weekend. I'll be like, all right, click. Yeah. Like, dang, I was talking on myself and cut it off. So it's not you.
But another big sign that you might be projecting or having displaced emotions is if you have difficulty being objective, getting perspective or feeling empathy and being able to see something from someone else's perspective, like standing on what Lex said. I think that's a huge one because I am normally a very curious, very open, very understanding person. And that's a telltale sign for me that when I'm not, it's because I'm projecting or tripping.
What is difficulty being objective? Like being able to not take it personal?
I would say that seeing it from a different side, like being able to take yourself out of it and look at the actual situation, like just being able to be objective, like stop looking at it from this one perspective and like being able to look at it as a whole, like, oh man, you was right, I did kind of turn up for no reason.
Or like this stuff's on the floor because this person is depressed and going through whatever, like it don't be having nothing to do with you. Okay, so if you have Keith Lee. I
almost got that God on bless. Your mug. You almost had your person doing that. I don't do that. You do that. Yes, you do. I can rewind to episodes. You absolutely do.
That's funny.
Yes, she does. Because you be when you thinking you be doing this.
Dude, that's so funny because I don't recall that. Anyway, she's making fun of my hands right now. But so if you have issues with projection or yes, let's just talk about you. Then here are some questions you could think about. And really, I kind of feel like if it's like you get around a person, you kind of get an attitude sometimes, and you're like, what is it? Because sometimes that happens. It's like, I don't dislike this person, but like something annoys you or gets on your nerves. Usually that's about yourself. Is this behavior I dislike in this person something that I find intolerable in myself? And for me, one example of that is if I am around somebody or see an example of somebody doing like real deep people pleasing where you see it and it's like, you're doing so much. Like it bothers me so bad. And I think it just triggers up the part of me. It's like, girl, you don't have to do all that. Or like, why are you saying this? Why are you doing that? Why are you cleaning up this person's house when they invited you over for lunch or, you know, whatever. Yeah. And that's one of the things I think that it bothers me.
I would say another one is maybe like know-it-alls or people who always raise their hand and answer. It's like, why are you mad at that? Check yourself. Me talking to me. Another question to ask on top of that one is, in what ways do I act like this person? And kind of evaluating your own self. So I can definitely relate to that know-it-all thing and always being the person to answer questions or ask questions or raise my hand or talk. I feel like I'm always the person talking in situations. So sometimes I kind of chill out.
What types of stories am I telling myself about this person or situation? So are you telling yourself that, oh, they must have got upset or I did something? Or how many other things could it have been? Whether they phoned, they dropped their phone, whether they did just hang up and like they just weren't thinking about it because somebody's about to talk to them. Like, you don't really know. And it doesn't help to just be worried and or put negative emotions on it as something to run through your mind when, you know, who knows?
Who or what does this person or situation remind me of? And I would encourage you to take time really sitting with that one because that's more so for me. It's like it automatically triggers me and takes me back to my past. And so I'll kind of get loud in arguments or stuff sometimes too, not because I'm trying to yell at the person, but because that's what I had to do to be heard when I was younger. And so if I feel triggered, like you're not hearing me or not listening to me or not giving me the benefit of the doubt, I'm gonna get loud because I want you to hear me. But that doesn't necessarily make sense. But I notice that happens in arguments. And so really sitting with like, where does this parallel in my life? You know, what could this be coming from or stemming from?
Yeah, and that's also a good one to consider in regards to relationships because a lot of times you'll think about how, oh, it was a past woman that got you thinking this way or feeling this way, or it's past men that or things that have happened that now you're kind of putting their sins on a partner, on your dating life or whatever. And that's a dangerous thing to do as well.
And then moving forward, and kind of leads me to the question, how can we manage all these difficult feelings in life and still respect the people around us?
What I have done is a few things. So I think a lot, and which I keep telling myself, like, I need to think less probably, but I'll think a lot about stuff. And I go through those questions actually. Like I'll think about like, okay, that doesn't have anything to do with me, or I shouldn't care about this, and or, oh, this is really what I'm disliking. Why do I, think that I'm not doing good in that space? Like I think about all those things. So like I really just think through it. Two, one of the ways that I manage difficult feelings when I have them, if somebody's wrong or if I feel they're wrong or rub me wrong or whatever, is in that I could do a quick thinking to really think about like, what is the need? Because just like they say with the kids, like a misbehaving child is a child whose needs are unmet. It's very similar. Projection is a way of like acting out. And like I said at the beginning, I'm really like, why don't you love me? Or you don't love me? And like, it's really, you need something, whether you need assurance, whether you need nurturing, whether you need whatever, right? It's a need. And so a lot of times it's like, all right, what do I really need right now? Or what do I need to feel? Or what am I not feeling? And I'm able to kind of more so actually also then have conversations and talk about it. If it's a type of relationship where it's important to express that, right? Because you don't want it to happen again, and or you just want them to understand where you're coming from or why. So when I do understand something, when it clicks, because it's not always immediate, but something will click, and I'll be like, you know what? Actually, that's why I got upset when I passed you my shoes to put them down, and you just kind of threw them in the closet. Because I'm thinking like, that's not how I do things. I would have done it with care, and then it just seemed like you didn't care. And so if it feels like you don't care at this, and then I think about, and so like I can explain it, even though they're like, yeah, you're crazy, like that don't make sense. But at least in my head, I was like, okay. And I realized like, what is it really about? And that helps me to then separate like what's the me problem and what's going on with them and what can I expect from them.
I love all those things, and I'm going to try to pull out the keys that I heard and then also relate it to mine. So ownership, owning, and possibly apologizing if you recognize that you turn up in a situation, and then communicating. So sharing that with the person or your partner or who you're talking to. So ownership, communication, possibly apologizing if that's a thing. But then also taking time for yourself and either communicating that in that moment or doing it later to really unpack why you did X and why you felt the need to raise your voice or to throw whatever. Because I had a homegirl who just recently, she's dating this guy, really likes him. They got into an argument. He walked out the door and she threw something out the door. And she was like, oh shit, why'd I do that? And then he walked in and he said, did you really just throw something at the door? And she was like, she said she just was so,
catch yourself wilding.
Man, like why the fuck was I doing that? And so really sitting with yourself and I would also say being patient and trying to be as kind to yourself as possible, because we are just big kids. All of these unhealed wounds and traumas are from a place, a very justifiable place, but they don't necessarily have a hold or a space in our adult lives. And in order to improve our relationships, we really have to take that time to unpack, to heal, to sit with them. But it's a lot of communication, a lot of apologizing, a lot of checking in with yourself and being kind to yourself and reminding yourself that there are no bad emotions. I remember I used to feel bad about feeling anger, about feeling upset, sad, like all this stuff. And it's okay. It's a necessary part of life. Couples that argue are actually supposed to be a lot healthier and that actually talk through things. So shout out to the Gottman Institute for all the research on that. But just reminding yourself that it's okay. We actually did an episode on anger. So if you want to learn how to process your anger or work through those things in a healthy way, check out episode 207.
And along with what you said, I think a big key is that you should be showing respect in all of your communications, especially in particular relationships that are close or where you might be projecting. And I think after a while you kind of can notice the things that keep coming up. And I think that it's important to still practice relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, etc. You still have to practice in those relationships. It's not something that you could do by yourself, right? Like you don't know you're going to throw something at the door until you're like so mad and in a relationship that then you're faced with like, oh, that's how that came out. And so things are going to happen, and you do have to be accountable. You do have to apologize. You do have to recognize ways to communicate with respect, because the biggest issue and the biggest place where relationships fall apart is when we stop talking about what's important. And the best way to do that efficiently is to not project, but to really be able to express what you need, how you feel. And hopefully you're talking to somebody who is paying attention and respecting what you are hoping to see.
And it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be perfect. So we all out here practicing together. Hit us this week at Carlie's Couch. Let us know how you're working through projecting / displaced emotions.
Peace out.